Hello and welcome to a special bonus second look from the Anfield Wrap on YouTube. I am Dan Austin, I've got with me Rob Gutmann and Kevin Walsh. And what we're going to do with this sort of extra edition that we've thrown in for you is look back at both of Liverpool's Premier League wins over Tottenham Hotspur from this season as we do a kind of hybrid analysis of those games, preview of the final as we think about how it might unfold in Madrid on the 1st of June. Rob, to get started then, it was 2-1 wins for Liverpool. First one at Wembley back in September, you were there. Second one at Anfield in April, I think it was. Both very different games though, despite the fact that the scoreline was identical. We'll talk about the one at Wembley first. Liverpool only won by a 1-goal margin, but it was a late consolation for Tottenham. They outplayed them massively in that game, and they outplayed a team that at that stage had equally lofty ambitions. Liverpool and Tottenham both wanted to be in a title race. They both believed they could be. This game was a real sign from Liverpool that they were to be taken very seriously and were capable of genuinely challenging Manchester City.
Yeah, is it about 5 or 6 in?
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah. I remember I had to write a preview piece for the Anfield Wrap on this, and I said, trying to be melodramatic about it, is I really think Liverpool needed to go to Wembley and beat Tottenham and put down a marker that we were going to go toe-to-toe with whoever in this season's title race. And it is what we did. Tottenham had really torn us apart the year before. It'd been a watershed, I think. If this Liverpool team goes on to do things, I think we'll look back to that day at Wembley the year before this, when we lose 4-1 and Lovren has a nightmare.
Lovren's off after half an hour, isn't he?
Yeah. I think we'll go, that was a watershed in the modern history of Liverpool Football Club. But we reversed the performance in the sense that Tottenham we were measured, we found our way into the game. It was, both teams were sort of shadow boxing each other for 20 minutes. We get our lead, we build on our lead. Really, we have the chances to make it 3s and 4s before they get that late consolation. And actually, they could have had an equaliser. There was a penalty shout near the end, but we were worthy winners that day.
Kev, you've watched the game back and both editions of the second look in anticipation of this. Really good homework from you. The goals came courtesy of Jorginho Wijnaldum and Roberto Firmino. Firmino also had one very closely ruled out for offside in the first half to put us 1-0 up. Tottenham didn't play that badly in the game, is my recollection of it, and from the bits that I've seen back. It was just that Liverpool were excellent. We're better than them in every department. Tottenham actually had more of the football. They had 60% possession, but they conceded 17 shots. 9 of them came from Mane and Salah as a combination. What I remember from that game is that Liverpool really exploited the space between their fullbacks very well.
Yeah, looking back on it, when you look at the game, they've had a couple of chances in there, but we've absolutely killed them. We had one where it looks like we were going to score from corners. I think I assume it's Trent who's taking it. He hits the post with one. The one we score from is put right under the bar for him to clear out, which they do when Wijnaldum scores the header. In the matches, Liverpool sort of, as you said, we just felt our way in and just realised what we needed to do, learned and grew into the game. And then once we knew what we needed to do, we just killed them. They didn't come into it at all until, as you say, the last couple of minutes when they got the consolation and then obviously the penalty shout afterwards. But I was reading up on it as well. It was the only time in the top 6 games against each other for like 10 years or whatever it was that a team had conceded 10 shots on target to another team. So that shows you how dominant we were in that game. But obviously the second game was very much a different game to that.
Rob, talking about it from a Liverpool defensive point of view, this is the game I think where the Van Dijk-Joe Gomez partnership starts to really look imperious. The pair of them in this game are excellent. Tottenham have a few chances, not many of them are genuine ones where you think they should have scored a goal there because Liverpool defend so well. I've got some stats on Gomez here. He makes 3 tackles in the game, 3 clearances and wins 4 aerial duels. Obviously, in recent months, it's been Joel Matip in there since Gomez's injury. He's been back for a little while now. He's played a few games. He'll be on this training camp in Marbella. Do you think that there's an argument for the final to actually revert back to Van Dijk and Joe Gomez?
There's an argument.
Would you make it?
You know what? Gomez was so good. Gomez was on a trajectory for becoming a top European centre-half. We saw enough of that first dozen games of the season where we went, bloody hell, this partnership, it could be anything it wants to be. Yeah. This could be like Ferdinand and Vidic plus, you know, if you think of the great, or Hansen and Lawrence, if you go in our history. Cruelly set back by that injury at Burnley to Joe Gomez. So there's a part of me that would say, I'd like to put them back together. It's the biggest game of the season. They're the best 2 footballers we have in that position. But it really depends what's happened in training. Joe's only had, well, he starts in Barcelona at right back, and I think he's had a couple of 20 minutes elsewhere, hasn't he, Joe Gomez, this season, since his comeback? Not much. And Joel Matip's really hardly put a foot wrong. So I say I'd be very surprised if Klopp didn't go with Matip. But I think any sign of a niggle with Matip, and Matip is quite an injury-prone player, then I don't think he'll hesitate to put Joe Gomez back in. But no, he won't be the first option.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think with Joe Gomez was, as you said, he was brilliant. I think it's easily forgotten how good him and Van Dijk were together. There's been a lot of talk about getting to Ligt. Obviously, looks like he's going to Barcelona now. But I think if Gomez had had the season, excuse me, a full season of what he was done before he got the injury, I don't think as many people would be saying we need a defensive cover, because I think that's how good he was looking. He was looking like he was going to be towards the levels of a Van Dijk type of player, and the partnership together was perfect. Matip, as obviously many of the watchers know, I've had lots of issues with a lot, but he's ran my words back down my throat. He's been faultless for I don't know how long now, and he doesn't even feel like he's got the, I don't want to jinx it, but he doesn't make me feel nervous anymore when he's on the ball. So I think Klopp's one of these managers he's ruthless, and he is ruthless, but he's ruthless in the right moments. And I think in this moment, I just don't see him making the decision where he says, yeah, right, Matip, thanks for all you've done, but come out. Because I think he can say to Matip, listen, you stay in there, you probably do the job I need you to do. And if Gomez goes in and there is a mistake made, it can all be focused in on him then, can't it? I don't think the mistake would be made, but if it did, it just seems like a gamble that doesn't need to be taken.
Fair enough. The other place that he's got a real decision to make is in central midfield, Kev. You mentioned earlier about the Wijnaldum goal. He scores it with a header from a corner. It's just about over the line. Michel Vaughan catches it behind the line. The little watch buzzers that the referee has and gives the goal. That was Gini Wijnaldum's first Premier League goal away from home in 58 matches. He scored 2 in another European Cup semi-final against Barcelona. He scored a crucial opener at Cardiff as well. It seems to me that since that goal against Tottenham, he's taken on a lot more personal responsibility this season. Yeah,
I think from the start of the season he was playing really well. He scores that goal, and I think, excuse me, it's easily forgotten how good. Excuse me, sorry. It's easily forgotten how good his season was going, how well he was playing, until the point where it looked like his legs had gone a little bit on him. Because he plays basically every minute for Liverpool, he plays all the games for Holland as well. And he was probably our most consistent midfielder. Now, when you look at the midfields we've had since he was rested, dropped, whatever you want to call it, he's all struggled to get back in. But it feels to me like he's played himself back into the contention. In my mind, there's only really one place up for grabs in the midfield. I think Fabinho is an absolute shoo-in. I don't envisage any world where we don't play him unless he's injured. Henderson, again, he's played himself into a role where it'd be mad to take him out of the team. So really, I think you can always see it's James Milner or Wijnaldum. And I think Wijnaldum offers probably a little bit more mobility, maybe not as much aggression as Milner, which can sometimes be a thing with Tottenham, but Milner's versatility will probably go against him, because if you have a substitute on the bench, you can come on in midfield or a fullback or in any position you really need him to, you're probably going to go with that, whereas Wijnaldum comes on, he's pretty much, he's a midfielder and that's all.
Rob, we'll talk about Milner then. In this game, he starts alongside Wijnaldum. Keita also gets a game in this one. Milner makes 5 tackles in the match, which is more than anyone on the pitch. Is there an argument for Klopp to go with him on the basis that he'll be more combative against the likes of Ali, Eriksen, people who might not necessarily fancy it?
Again, there's an argument, but I think Klopp can go 2 ways with this game. He can pick a team to play this Tottenham team and to take that approach, or he can pick the best Liverpool team he can pick. And I think he's going to be inclined to do the latter. And therefore, I think he is going to leave James Milner on the bench, use him for certain. But I think he will go with Wijnaldum, Fabinho and Henderson. There's a small part in the back of my mind. If he was going to pick a tactical team, and Naby Keita got himself fit and had a good last few days in training, I wouldn't say it was the maddest shout if he threw him in, because he was playing before. And I think if he'd been fit and hadn't had this injury, I think Naby Keita would have been a shoo-in with Henderson and Fabinho for this final, with Wijnaldum and Milner both kicking their heels. But as he's had his injury, he's very unlikely to play. No, I'd bet solid money on the trio that Kev picked and Milner being on the bench.
Kev, do you not think it could come into his mind that if Liverpool get a penalty at any stage, he wants James Milner on the pitch?
Yeah, but also if that was in my thinking, I don't know what the stats are on this, but I'd be thinking, are you more likely to get a penalty in the first 60 minutes or the last 30 plus maybe another 30? So
plus I think, a penalty shootout.
Exactly.
You definitely want him on the pitch for that.
100%. And also, I know he's our designated penalty taker and he's great at them. I wasn't overly fussed on his technique when he first started because they never seem to be in the corner, but they always go in. So that's all you need for a penalty taker. We've got a lot of other players who can take penalties as well.
Averagely.
Well, averagely, apparently all of them, except maybe Fabinho, because I know he took one in pre-season, didn't he? But he was Monaco's penalty taker from right back. I'm sure he takes them for Brazil as well sometimes. So
yeah, an incredible record as well.
Yeah, a brilliant record at Monaco. I think he never missed.
So, yeah, obviously, if Klopp had the choice to say, listen, we've got a penalty in the first minute, who do you want to take it? And you can pick anyone in your squad, it's James Milner. But to earn that penalty and to get into the game, and I don't think you're picking a team based on who's going to get a penalty. I think Milner, would you want him playing 120 minutes?
That's the key. I think that's actually a really good reason why he won't start, because I think you'll go, A, it's not essential that he starts, and B, you definitely want him on a penalty shootout, and C, you definitely don't want him playing 120 minutes at 31 or whatever.
But you definitely want him in, not even just a penalty shootout. If I was to pick a player in our squad who I wanted 110% to be coming into the game somewhere around extra time, it'd be Milner.
Yeah.
He's just got the mentality about him and the nous about him to play and to drag other players through a period of extra time where you might be under a little bit of the cosh, or we need a little bit of creativity going forward, or we need someone who knows to, listen, slow that ball down, get it out of play, goes down injured. He's got all of the facets of a player that scream European Cup final winning in extra time. You want him there. Wijnaldum, you could, listen, I really like Wijnaldum, he's probably one of my favourite players, but you could see, you can make a case for 70 minutes in, Genie, thanks very much for all you've done. Right, James, you go in there and drop bombs wherever you want to do them, mate, and you can play that role furthest forward, or if you want, you can even say to him, okay, well, you sit in a little bit, and Henderson, right, it's for you now to go and do what you've been doing the last few weeks of the season, getting wide right, whipping balls in, putting these little 1-2s on the edge of the area. I just think Milner off the bench gives us so many more options, really.
I think it's important to note that both of them have proven their worth off the bench in very recent history. So
yes.
Wijnaldum obviously scores 2 against Barcelona coming off the bench, and James Milner is brilliant away at Southampton and away at Newcastle when he comes on in 2 very crucial victories. So whichever he goes with, really, I think we'll all be quite confident that whoever's on the pitch is going to do their job, and you've got a man in reserve there who you can use and can have a genuinely positive effect on the game.
Let's just say, let's hope the Milner that come on against Everton doesn't come on, because he was absolutely terrible, wasn't he? But I'm sure that was just a one-off.
That was just a rough day. That was the worst substitute performance I think I've ever seen, quite frankly, that one. We'll move on to the second game, and Rob, it was a much different game, this one. Liverpool again won by 2-1, forced the ball over the line very late on in one of the best Anfield League celebrations that I've ever been in, quite frankly. It was absolutely fantastic, but Spurs played really quite well, a lot better certainly than in the first game. They went with 3 at the back instead of 4 this time. Between probably 30 and 80, they make a bit of a tactical shift. They play quite well. They equalise. They could even win the game themselves. They've got a really big chance that Moussa Sissoko misses. Is that a sign that they've improved in the way that they handle Liverpool? Was it just Liverpool not necessarily playing that well that day? What was your reading of it?
The narrative after the game was that Spurs were unlucky because they had the big chance after they equalised, and our goal was very, very late and very, very scruffy. And they definitely improved in the game, but I think it was overstated how well Spurs had done. Our dominance of them in the early part of the game was total. We deserved our lead. We could have gone on to increase it. That's actually been a pattern in a couple of games we played. And I'm thinking about the Anfield game the year before, which is a 2-2.
Yeah.
But and Spurs again have a strong second half there, but Liverpool should have put the game to bed beforehand. So they've ridden their luck a little bit, Spurs. Although they're doing better when they score, it's not inevitable that they're going to score. And the goal they score is a bit of a cheeky one, isn't it? Harry Kane takes the free kick very quickly. It's a moving ball and catches everyone cold because of it. Probably shouldn't have stood that goal. And that sort of changes. In Liverpool, I think that's the first time I saw Klopp properly gamble in this league season. There's a few games earlier on, I think Man U away, Everton away, where I wouldn't say he took the draw, but he thought, you know what, we could lose this if we're not careful. Yeah. And this point could come back to be a key point, as it proved it didn't. But against Tottenham, I think he thought, I don't give a shit here.
Shit or bust.
Yeah, and I think we were really going for it. And I think the chance and a half they get on the break after they score because it's shit or bust. Obviously, Tottenham are well set up to exploit that. There's no doubt about it. At that stage of the game, it suited them how it's played. But the truth of that game, the reality of that game, is that Liverpool picked up after the Spurs equaliser and camped on the edge of a Spurs box against a very deep Spurs, and were looking and probing and pulling them this way and that. And the goal itself is not a lucky goal. We find a superb ball to the back post, and Salah gets a header in an incredibly dangerous position where people were panicking all over the place. So it's improved by Spurs, but again, they come on the back foot. There's no big plan that works for them there.
Kev, I mentioned that they changed to the 3 at the back. Liverpool had 6 fewer shots in this game than the one at Wembley, which you would usually expect that to be reversed when you're at home as opposed to away. But, you know, Liverpool did have less clear-cut chances in this game. They still made more than what Tottenham did, frankly, but they had fewer than they did at Wembley. Do you think the fact that they had 3 at the back against 3 forwards, so they've all got a direct counterpart, they can double up with the wing-backs if they want, do you think that helps them from a tactical perspective? Do you expect them to maybe do that again in the final?
I think it does help them, but I don't think you can compare them like for like in the home and away games. When you consider how dominant we were in that away game and how many shots we did have in the away game, that's the anomaly. I think the amount of shots we had in the home game and the chances created were probably pretty typical of what you'd expect in a top 6 game. So you don't normally get 10 shots on goal against a Man United or even a City or Chelsea, anyone like that. The home game just felt a lot more like 2 really good teams going against each other, working each other out and then trying to go around each other. What I'd say about the home game that I think is very significant, which Tottenham may have deserved to win the home game, I don't think they did. I agree with you, Rob. I think their chances were created because we were going for the league title. And I don't think in another game with a different thing around it, we would have conceded those chances. Yeah. But we didn't have Fabinho on the pitch until after they scored their goal. Now, Sissoko played in the middle in that game, and it was such a strange shape they went for it. It felt like defence, attack, Sissoko. You know, he was like sort of on his own in the middle. Mm-hmm. So they were blocking everyone off in the defensive angles. But I think if they go for that in the final, and if they do, I hope they do, because if we put Fabinho on Sissoko and then we have Henderson running around them as well, their midfield will be null and void. And if you haven't got the ball in midfield, you can't do anything you won't do anything in the game. And they've got very good fullbacks, but we know probably more than most, your fullbacks, it's essential that if one's got it this side, you need to be able to switch the play quickly. And that's not just a cross-field ball, you need to be able to play it across your midfield so that you can spread the play. And it might have to come back again, a la us against Man City when we scored our goal with Firmino, where you move the defence one side and you move them back and then you move them back again. And elite footballers need half a yard. They don't need 10 yards running, they need half a yard, and that's how you get it. So if they've got no midfield there, and if you've got Fabinho sitting on Sissoko, I don't feel like they will have a midfield. I don't see how they get that movement which scores their goals.
It was interesting in that first game how we beat their press. We played long. Yeah. I think as Wembley was a big pitch. I don't know how big the pitch is on this. We
had a very low passing accuracy as a team in that game, and I think that is because Liverpool are going quite direct and over the top, and obviously sometimes that comes off. Quite a bit of the time it doesn't, but it means that you don't have to be perfect because you can keep trying that ball, because Tottenham always, whether it's 3 at the back, whether it's 4 at the back, are going to play high up the pitch. Yeah,
exactly that. But we seem to have worked on it, and tactically we were strong. As I said, I think the Wembley pitch aided that tactic, and we were aware of it, and I have no idea what kind of a pitch this will be. Both Liverpool and Tottenham are used to playing at home on quite tight pitches. So that'll be an interesting aspect of it. I'm also thinking who's got the legs on this one. I think Liverpool have shown throughout the season that they've got a lot of legs in them. I think we've out-fitness teams throughout the campaign. There's a lot of teams like I think Southampton away.
Southampton away is that's exactly what I comes to mind when you said that. Then, yeah.
But even Barcelona. I mean, people talk about the crowd and Liverpool's momentum, but Barcelona blow themselves out. I think City are a team that blow themselves out. Liverpool are a team that don't blow themselves out. That's one thing Klopp's changed, because we don't go for the quick starts quite as much as we did. And therefore we're not sensational in the first 30 as I think we might have been last season at times. We're very, very strong the last hour of the game, generally.
You mentioned about Mr. Sissoko there, Kev. He moves Dele Alli to sit next to him after 30 minutes in that game at Anfield. They get better from there because they've got a bit more of a platform, but you do get the sense, I think, that if Liverpool's 3 are on it, whatever 2 Tottenham pick, we should be in control of that the centre of the park.
100%, yeah. Mr. Sissoko is a good player, but I wouldn't say he's on the same level as the Liverpool players. That's not to denigrate him in any way. I think that's to say how high I rate our players in the midfield. Mm-hmm. I think with Fabinho, he's proven time and again since Christmas that he's an absolute world-class sign. He gives us such a platform to play from, and the partnership that's developed in the last 6 to 8 weeks with him and Henderson is like a godsend, because that just allows everyone around him. It allows the fullbacks to push up absolutely free rein. They were doing that anyway, but now we don't even see chances in behind them anymore because Henderson or Fabinho will make the move over. It allows whoever plays on the point of the 3-man midfield to feel free to go as far up as they want, but also to be able to turn back. And no matter how much trouble they're in, no matter how many players are surrounding them, there will be at least one of them with an outball for them. And it's not just an outball where it's we'll take it back and start again. It's an outball to a player who can then play a 10-yard ball further forward and start another attack. So teams are not just thinking, how do we stop the front three? How do we stop Keita, Wijnaldum, or whoever it is there? They've got to think of, how do we stop that? But if they do come back in here, how do we stop the platform from just starting a new attack on the other side of the pitch? And listen, it's a problem that not many teams will manage to solve.
Rob, it's interesting to note that Lucas Moura plays up front with Harry Kane in a two in both of these matches. After his heroics in Amsterdam, that hat-trick, I think he has to play. I don't think they're going to leave him out. Is he, in particular, a major threat that we need to be aware of? He obviously scores in the Anfield game, their 1 goal.
Yeah, because they'll be saying similar things about us that we are about them, that we like to defend high up the pitch. So they'll be saying we have to put more on the pitch because we need some pace in behind. Obviously, Son, if he plays as well, they'd have a double threat there. There's a possibility, I think, if they have any doubts, Harry Kane could start on the bench for me, because even though they expect him to be fit, he hasn't played much football, and they might think, do we want to put a Harry Kane on that we're going to have to take off after 60 mins? Or would he be talismanic, come on if the game's tight, heading towards extra time, and you go, hang on, we could have a fresh, adrenaline-fueled Harry Kane for last 15 or extra time. If I were them, I might be a bit tempted, because the alternative is to play everyone, as you said, and they have done that. Moura, Kane, Son, Ali Eriksen, who all haven't got, I'd broadly say, a defensive bone in their bodies, although even though they know how to, they know how to run, but they're not defensive based. So Tottenham would end up playing a 4-1-5, whichever way you riddle it, in crude terms. And that risks us having a hell of a lot of the ball. But
as you said before, though, Robert, if off camera, we were saying probably Spurs want more of a wild game. They want an end-to-end type of thing. And so, there's probably one way to guarantee that, and it probably is to play that system. But it'd be a brave manager to do that against this Liverpool team, because if you're allowing our midfield to run onto your midfield there, you're in the singular, and then our 3 attackers to be attacking your back 3 with our wing backs coming down as well. If that was me, I'd be shitting myself. One
last thing I want to mention before we go, Kev, is that in both games, Pochettino makes a very late Llorente sub when his side needs a goal. So he does it at 1-1 at Anfield, and he does it once they get the goal back in stoppage time at Wembley. I don't like him. I don't want to see him. He scored against Liverpool before for Swansea. He caused absolute carnage at the Etihad in that tie there when they eventually got through. I just don't like the idea of him coming on and being a big lump and balls getting through onto his head. It's probably a good sign if that happens, because it means Liverpool are probably going to be ahead in the game, but he worries me.
In the past, it would have worried me, but if you're telling me we're 2-1 up in the last 10 minutes and they're bringing him on to go against Virgil van Dijk, I'm going to just choose up between them two, I'll take it. I'd be more worried if after 70 minutes and we're looking a bit ragged and the game's level, or maybe we're one ahead and you look across and there's Harry Kane coming on. Now Kane, I think, is an interesting one more so than Llorente, because in his own head, he strikes me as the type of fella who he's arrogant enough to say, well, even a 90% fit Harry Kane is better than 100% Lucas Moura. And I think he's got the power around that Tottenham dressing room to maybe cause issues. So, yeah, Llorente, I'm not saying I wouldn't be worried also, because I'd be made to look very stupid with that, but yeah, I'd rather see him coming on than Harry Kane.
And in their podcast or their video, they're talking about the Origi fear factor.
Yes, absolutely.
So, we can get. I know the truth of the matter is we've both got really good squads here.
Yeah.
Really good players, both sides. Who knew?
Well, let's hope that Kev's right and Harry Kane is going to spend the next 10 days being an absolute prick to all of his teammates because he's not getting picked in the final. Really does everyone's head in for a while. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed this little twist on the format. There'll be a formal preview video. Looking forward to the final nearer the time. We're going on the bus again, if you don't know already. We're leaving basically next Tuesday night, 1 a.m, Wednesday, which feels insane. Quite frankly, we're leaving earlier than what we left to get to Kiev somehow. I don't really know how that's happened. I think we're trying to save our ankles, but I'm going to take a spare pair with me just in case they break again. But for now, yeah, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the Anfield app if you don't already. There'll be loads of podcasts from the bus, just us slowly becoming delirious and not very well in the mind, probably. But there'll be genuine footy stuff as well from Madrid. A preview show, a post-match pint will be done from Liverpool, all of the usual stuff. So check the YouTube channel, subscribe to it. Make sure to subscribe to Talk Player as well if you don't already. But for now, thanks to Kev, thanks to Rob, thanks to you for watching. All the best and up the Reds.